What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Music, Mark Doxy, Peanuts Clark, Ranty Flat Earth, Sleeping Warrior, Jose, Earth Flattener, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Boo.
Anthony, watch the back chat. What's going on? Why haven't you been watching it?
Good evening.
I'm not doing back chat as well, you know.
Hello,
I asked Nathan for a pay rise and he said no, and I feel as though I'm worth more, and he wouldn't give me a pay rise.
And you
So
think
I'm on strike.
And you say things like this, and you see why.
Well, it puts pressure on you to give me a pay rise, Nathan.
Anthony,
No.
contract breach. Don't do that.
I'm just rebelling. I feel as though I'm worth more.
Well,
Hell, Ranty got a camera.
yeah,
I did.
Hell
Ranty
yeah.
works hard.
Anthony
Shout out,
got-
shout out to Soundly that insists that I replicated his observations. To me, I didn't. Many people say I did. So I don't know what they're looking at. My own eyes say I couldn't replicate his observations. I mean, that's conclusive for me.
Oh, Nathan. A couple of days ago, you said to me that I hadn't displayed this, the Isle of Man from Great Orme before.
I'm sure you have, but I just couldn't remember you doing it.
All right, okay.
Do you want to do it
Should
now,
we do
though?
it
Because it
again?
was Ace.
Yeah,
I rem-
sure.
Just so while you're bringing it up, oh, you've got it already. Yeah, Ranty did a live stream. Check out his live stream on Ranty Flat Earth channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. But yeah, he had a bit of Isle of Man in its entirety, which I don't remember being presented on this show. But yeah, very, very cool footage. Hopefully he'll dig it out and we'll get to see it, and then we'll go through housekeeping.
He did it.
When did you make it?
No.
Yeah, we can go through housekeeping first if you want. Or do you want me to do
Yeah,
this
we
now?
can do. While you're digging it out, yeah, why not? I can see you trying to find
Well,
it in amongst a
I've
million
got it.
zillion.
I've got it already.
I'll bring it up then. I'd rather you just bring it up so it tails off nicely rather than housekeeping in
Okay.
between.
When did you make it, Ranty?
This was on the 4th of August. So 4th of August 2018. I drove to Wales, North Wales. It took quite a while. It was.
So just saying you had plenty of time to work on that CGI.
Yeah, but the problem was that I actually released the video the following day. So.
See,
This is-
Ranty's worth his money. He can do that CGI very quickly.
Yes.
So this was all the wind turbines and different stuff, and it was what happened was it was really difficult to. Let me just get up here and show you the video. It was really difficult conditions. So this is the actual P900 footage without any effects on it, and you can see that it just looks like a mess. Now I was sure that I could actually see a bit of land here, right, and then I was sure I was seeing land here as well, and I knew what I was seeing, but I wasn't sure that the camera was able to pick it up. So I do some zooming ins and I do some zooming outs. This is actually on my channel, and what I'll do is I'll apply some contrast to it now. So if I pause it there for a minute, now you can start to make out the Isle of Man going down here and definitely over there. So we're seeing the north and the south part of the Isle of Man. I can't believe you can't remember what we're seeing this, Nath.
What's the observer height? Sorry.
322 feet.
Was this the footage that overlapped with an issue, and because I was going out to a Spanish class, we didn't get to study it?
Possibly.
Yeah. I wish I hadn't remembered that now, but I do remember it now.
So I'm basically applying some color contrast and messing around with stuff to try and enhance what I'm seeing, but I'm probably not getting it as best I probably can. There's probably people in the chat that can give me some advice on how to bring this out even more. But I was able, through doing some enhancements through contrast and color, to get to this point. Oh, where are we? Here we go. Right at the end of the video. So now we've got some of the mountains that we're seeing. And I got this from Peak Finder. Who's got the mic open? So I got this from Peak Finder. These are the elevations above sea level. Essentially, this was my elevation, which was 322 feet above sea level. I've got all the distances in, etc. Curve calcs say that there should be 1,450 feet, essentially, of missing curve. Well, for instance, the Greba Mountains on the left-hand side are fully visible. I go a bit further into this and I do some measurements. So I take some defined mountain ranges. I know it doesn't look very good here. This is what I'm saying about it needs enhancing. But we've got Greba Mountains over here. We've got Snaefell at the top, obviously the highest line, etc., etc. And when I put this ruler in, and I put the ruler in to measure down to each individual height and get them matching up, the ruler ends at about 220 feet. So that's saying that to the hard horizon with the actual ruler, we're seeing down to about 220 feet or so, thereabouts. Let's say 300 feet. Well, where's the missing 1,450 foot of curvature? Because, in my opinion, this is concrete proof that we are actually seeing all of the Isle of Man. You know, there can be no denying that this isn't a ball Earth proof. This is an absolute flat Earth proof. So if anybody wants, yeah, well, if anybody wants this video in its original file, I can upload it to my Google Drive, and if they want the link and they're able to enhance the image better than I am, because I don't have the software that can do all of this, but if they have that software that can bring out all of this, I will be deeply indebted to them, because this could be one of the best videos that I've ever shot. It's just that the data is hidden in this atmosphere. Although it is there, I can see it. I can definitely see it. I can definitely pick it out, but it needs more enhancement. So there's a shout out there for people that think they can. That if anyone thinks that they can do something with this, send me an email, ranty@rantyflatearth.com, or just check one of our videos and you'll see that there's a link in there to contact me on my email there, and they can have a direct link to download this. Look at that, Nath. You can see this, can't you?
It's cool as I've had it on big and in various places, except when you've got the writing, because it doesn't quite fit by the way I've scaled the screen. But yeah, absolutely awesome. It's difficult to see on my projection screen, but on the iPad, even now, it's clear. You know, you can see it.
And I know I'm seeing, you know, I mean, I literally know what I'm seeing. But like I said, the camera really struggled to film it. Now, when I get the P900 modified and I'm able to see through, hopefully see through all this, I do intend to go back to Wales and see whether I can use the modified infrared to actually pick this up. Because it always seems that when we're looking in that sort of general direction, we get this atmosphere that just makes it really difficult to see anything. But fingers crossed I can get it. But if anybody can enhance this original video, I'll send them the video file. And there we go.
Cool, very cool, very cool.
Housekeeping.
Okay, yeah. Everybody ready? Lots of people on mute.
Am I on mute?
No, but just checking everyone's ready, because I'm going to be asking the whole panel. Any signs of curvature?
The whole body of science, Nathan.
That's a human curvature.
No.
Nope.
And why do we say that? Why do we say that there's no proof of curvature?
Because there's no proof of curvature. The Earth is obviously an observably flat.
Right, okay, but we have all the all Earth
To be
channels.
real,
It's also measurably flat, isn't it?
to
We have a
keep it
ruler
real,
next to it.
there is evidence of obstruction, but obstruction is not necessarily
Iron
curvature.
Realm, hello?
David.
Yeah.
Read what's coming up.
Adam.
Adam.
Evening, guys.
Evening, Adam.
So,
I thought I've got to join for housekeeping.
Cool. So,
Have you got some
Okay,
some
let's hear
curvature?
some of them at Adam then.
Have you seen any curvature, Adam?
Curvature 1, no.
No.
Any
Next.
signs of axial rotation?
The whole body of
Is that on a
science.
presupposed globe?
Doesn't exist.
No.
No, been no.
Oh, maybe of a disc or maybe of a plane, but no spinning.
No spin.
I do offer some housekeeping questions with presuppositions attached. We'll get to those later, though. So, any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
There's no block ammo.
Never.
No, that'd be a no.
Never beyond somebody's wildest imagination.
nope.
No.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Ooh, no.
The whole body
No,
of science.
definitely
Nathan.
Directional pressure?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm not ready to
Nope.
that up.
who's banging?
That's
Music.
Music freak.
What about a molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Just excuse
No, it
me.
doesn't exist.
There's no core. There's no core. There may be layers.
And if they want us to show them the ice wall, or we want to see some evidence of that core. Molten iron core, bit of nickel in it. Let's see how that works.
I've got a no on that one as well.
Well, maybe if I narrow down the presupposition, any evidence of the R value?
No.
No, definitely not there.
No, definitely not.
Not terrestrial radius, anyway.
Yeah, always Earth-based, Darwin. Always Earth-based.
Yeah, you gotta be specific.
Why do we have
The Rumpus say the body of science.
Yeah, the whole
Well,
body.
the body of science is so fat and bloated, it should have a perfect radius.
Don't talk about him like that. He'll get upset with you.
Anthony, did you wear Conspiracy Cats on yesterday? I don't know, it was yesterday's or today's, but he held himself back. He nearly used the whole body of science as a statement.
Did he egg?
Towards
He did. I heard that as well.
You can see where Conspiracy Cats has been learning from.
Yeah, like that. He went and he tweaked the whole body of science to science understand or something like that. I think.
Did you?
Rumpus has turned that into a
You
joke.
can hear his mind shout it.
Adam, did you see Rumpus the other day when I asked him, that's a lovely story? I said, and he said, it's true. I said, have you got any evidence of that? And then he started going, "Bip, bip, 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 bip." And I said, you were going to say the whole body of science then, weren't you? And he so was.
Hey,
Well,
Dunning-Kruger.
I mean,
is
credit
that a
to you
troll?
guys,
Hold on. Is that a troll?
I kicked him.
Hello? Hello? Dunning-Kruger,
Hello.
can you say hello?
I kicked him.
Hello?
That's a troll account.
That was a troll. Pretty sure.
Every time I see
So maybe we could get another placeholder. Mike Jones?
Good to have you.
Hello.
At least you're a real person. Good to have you, Mike.
How you guys doing?
Very well. Thanks for
What's
joining.
up, Mike?
Dunning-Kruger is definitely the troll that kicks us every day, and then I think his other username is Unbelievable Productions, if you see that.
Oh, we've got a second Iron Realm Media.
No. It's the same.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's glitch.
No, it's me. I tell you what it is, guys. For some reason, I log in with my normal The Adam Meakin account. Oh no, there's Josh.
Hey, what the?
Hi, folks.
Well,
Hey,
we
Josh.
got the Iron Crew here.
No, we've got the Iron Realm crew. Amazing.
Awesome.
This feels a little bit like we're on the wrong platform at the
It
minute.
does, doesn't it? It's like, welcome to Iron Realm
I'm
Media.
glad because this will prove it will quash all of those rumors that apparently Adam and Josh are the same person.
All those rumors. That's funny.
All right,
Oh,
bro.
good to have you, Josh.
Cool.
Howdy, folks.
Hello, Tommy. Good to have you.
Today, I'm back.
Hello, good to have you.
All right, mate.
What the? They both logged in with the same account.
That
was weird.
I just want to say, right, that after reviewing the whole 3 hours of talking yesterday, I knew
I
that.
listened to that, bro. You were shocking.
Oh dear.
I can see exactly why you thought I was a zealot. I can see exactly why I didn't back up my arguments of coming in. And I can see what you mean, what you was going to debunk about the maths with when you're already asserting R, you're begging the question because you're putting R in there to prove R, which is one of the whole reasons that you hate globers, because they're already trying to use something by proposing what it's supposed to be. I did sandbag the fact that I knew what R was because I didn't want to go into it. But yeah, I just have to say that if that was curvature, looking from the floor to the mountain, then you would supposedly see the curve if you elevate in height. I spoke to my friend who's a flat earther for about 6 hours last night while setting up for the Golovkin fight, and I'll come to the conclusion that it would be evidence for a flat Earth. Believe it or not,
This is a flat Earth, mate.
There's lots of evidence for all these things.
And the
Tommy.
perspective, yeah.
Do you realise that, you know, when we take the orientation that gravity takes into account, that if we were on a ball, all the images where you were suggesting curvature would require you to be leaning backwards, and that none of those images where you're reporting curvature could exist within the image would require the observer to be leaning backwards to create that image, because your ball maths is
Would say that there would be a lot more curvature there to be visible.
No, it'd be falling from your feet. There would be nothing raising to your eyes ever. Everything would fall from the first millimeter.
Cumulative drop.
Hold on, Adam. Hold on, everyone, calm down. Don't talk all at once. Hold on. Adam, can you bring up your images of the Sagittarius so you can explain exactly what you mean with a depiction of what you're describing?
I'll find one, yeah. Sagittarius.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I for one would like to hear what Tommy was going to finish saying, because he was like cut off halfway through him saying that he was.
That, like, Tommy. That basically, after reviewing all the ignorance that you pointed out, if I was a weaker person and just took offence to the insults, rather, because if you ask a question, you're a fool. If you don't ask a question, you're a fool forever. But if you ask a question that you don't know, you're a fool for 5 minutes. So being a fool for 5 minutes is fine. But coming to the conclusion that now all the things that you're suggesting and all the ignorance today is that I can put my hands up to. And speaking to my mate funny because I introduced my mate to flat Earth debate about 1 year ago, and I was like, it could seem to be flat, and then he's now a full flat earther. So speaking to him and me and him reviewing the whole argument and how things went.
Yeah, but dude,
you have to agree that it does look flat. You have to say that there isn't no evidence for the curvature. That would be evidence for a flat math. That the perspective law, the way that things convert as they go further away, they get covered from the bottom upwards, and then that's why you can only see the peak of the mountain because of the distance. And it's not if that was the curvature.
It's called diffraction, my fellow. It's called diffraction.
Guys,
you're looking
can you
past
just let
the
him
flat
finish?
surface.
Can you just let him talk? He's actually confessing to it being flat, and everyone's talking over him.
Exactly.
But the bottom line is, I was convinced that was curvature, and now I'm agnostic about whether that is curvature or not. It would be pointing more towards the fact that it does seem flat, and that would be evidence for flatness.
Well, I'm glad that you took it on yourself to go and review it afterwards, and didn't just end the stream and then come back again the next day being like the normal people we would get back, and you've actually taken it on board and you've gone and done some serious research on this. So I applaud you for doing that. And that's what somebody with an open mind would do.
We have actually seen a baller with intellectual honesty. Congratulations, Tommy.
No worries, man.
Hey, bro.
That's basically what I'm to hear. Because
follows on from that does that mean that you're now on the flat Earth side, or does it mean you're still on the fence?
Yeah,
or what?
no, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Agnostic will be as good enough for me as I can get, because even though that doesn't prove curvature, that means that there is another lie in what they're teaching us. That where they're saying we're supposed to get curvature, and actually there is other reasons for why we're seeing the phenomenon they call curvature. But that still doesn't mean that we're that it is flat or curved. I still feel like it does show us that they are lying to us. That's what it does show us.
So what was the one piece of evidence? Was it the compression at distance that gave you that kind of sort of like that kick to think, well, obviously things will get.
My mate, like, he's a good friend of mine, and obviously once I sent him down the rabbit hole of the flat Earth, and he was like, "No, it's definitely flat," and I was like, "How can you say conclusively it's flat?" This is where I lost him. But he's a smart kid, you know what I mean? And then when we went through the arguments, and then he was going, but yeah, but look, you're not listening, and you are presenting arguments, but not really understanding the whole evidence. So even if you did understand all the maths, they would be pointing out the fact that the R value shouldn't be put in there to prove what you're trying to prove anyway. Because I was listening to everything and put it all together as one big thing, and I realized, hang on, that even if I did understand all the maths, and I could put them all there for you, but the fact that I have to put the R value in there kind of like proves that if I'm trying to prove the Earth curved, then why would I need to put a curved equation into the equation? So that is begging the question, like Nathan was saying, over and over and over. So by taking the information of what you're saying was actually helpful, but obviously with the insults and stuff like that, if I wasn't concerned about the information and just concerned about the insults, you'd never get nowhere. So I think sometimes, a lot of the time when you are talking to Glovers, when you're just insulting them for certain things, they're too busy worrying about the insults rather than the information that you're trying to feed.
Tommy, mate, right? You know, respectfully, you didn't turn up into some random hangout. You rocked up to Flat Earth Debate, and I didn't join in yesterday's show, but respectfully, you got what you deserved yesterday, which was turning up with statements you couldn't back up. And you come to the Flat Earth Debate, you've got to be able to back up any assertions you're making. That's the precedence that's been set. And
someone said that yesterday as well.
Yeah, the ass handing you got, mate, was deserved, because if you turn up and you're going to make statements unfounded, then you deserve to be held accountable for it. And unfortunately, you turn up on Nathan's show, that's what you get if you turn up with that level of debate. They're the rules.
Who's that?
Hello, good people, winning good people.
Howdy.
Good to have you. Thanks for being here.
But yeah, I mean, I'm blown away that he's come back. I expected him to come back over the next couple of days and be like, I've got more information for the ball. And it'd be like, no, but he's come back and he's literally taken it on board what we said.
There was one bit.
Did he leave again?
Sorry?
Did he leave?
He could have dropped for all we know. Let me see.
I don't see him in the back chat anymore.
No, No, I didn't kick him.
While we're figuring that out, I just want the information that is trying to get squeezed through by Adam. You are presenting, Adam, but if you can just go through.
I'll show you the screen. All I wanted to say was I only caught a quick screen glimpse of it and did a quick skim read. But the first assumption in that maths was it's kind of this chord base maths, which in of itself, when I always talk about maths representing the reality, this doesn't, because you see the two radius lines there. One of them should be representing the observer's orientation of gravity. So if you were to reorientate that picture so that the left-hand radius line is at the 12 o'clock position, that then becomes the observer angle. So it's 100% falling away. What you see here is a misrepresentation of living on a ball. Irrespective of whether you believe you live on a ball or not, the maths that's demonstrated there is a misrepresentation of living on a ball. It's living on an angled ball. And that was the first point. The second point was there appeared to be some angular size calculations within the screenshots, but what it did do was, instead of taking a great arc circle calculation, it seemed to take a segmental section for the calculation. So the higher your latitude, the closer you were to the North or South Pole, the smaller the great arc circle it was using to calculate, was the other objection I had to what the maths that Tommy presented yesterday. In that, like I said, I didn't get a chance to read it, and I was going to ask him before he dropped if I could get a link to it. But the quick screenshot I saw was it did take into account angular size reduction, but it was based on a segment of the sphere as opposed to a great arc circle calculation, if that makes sense to people.
Not exactly, but I'm sure you'll give me a more detailed explanation of
So
that.
in a great arc circle goes the full circumference of the ball each time, a full circumference. What the maths it was trying to do was draw a segmented chop. So if you were to take the ball and chop the top layer off, you get a very small circle. If you got down to, say, 50 degrees where Britain is, you would have a circle slightly smaller than where France is, slightly smaller than where Spain is. You know, they're getting bigger and bigger until you get to that full great arc circle, which is the equator. Now, whenever you're doing calculations based on the curvature of the Earth, you should use those great arc circles, because the great arc circle is created between any 2 points in a straight line. Okay, but what it was trying to do was create segmented circles of reducing size from the equator to the North Pole, and trying to use those for its curvature calculation is what, like I said, it was only a brief flash he put up, so it was hard to ingest it all quickly. But that's what it struck to me, how it perverted the maths to try and give a reality for the observation.
Okay. There was another problem with that maths as well on the angular size reduction. It gave the answer in degrees. Now, that doesn't help you when you're getting your other answer from the curve calculators in feet. So there needs to be a conversion back to feet so that you can see how small it is at that distance and in terms of what you're looking at. And when you get that information, then it becomes obvious that that falls completely behind the curve of the Earth, and you shouldn't see any of that mountain at all. So basically, you've got to reduce the size of that mountain in accordance with perspective. And what do you know? When you do it, you don't see any of that mountain, and it ends up being an absolute flat Earth proof. And it's manipulation. It's sleight of hand what's going on with that, and it's sneaky. But that's the problem with it. You got to spot where the problems are.
Thank you for that, Adam. Much obliged.
No worries.
So can we go through housekeeping and just say why we believe we have questions that the Globers can't answer?
You want to go through each housekeeping question individually and give our justification for it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just a 5 or 10 minute thing on each one, just so that we can clarify our position, which is what it will be when we go through stuff.
I'm up for that, for sure. So let's start with the start, which is any signs of curvature.
That's it. Has any Glober ever shown any proof of any kind of curvature? That's the thing. And we're asking this for any Glober to show concrete proof of real curvature.
Measurable. Yeah, it should be measurable everywhere in all directions. And it's nowhere near as big as what people think it is either. They tell us it's huge.
Anthony, that pulls it back to the point I was just making there. The signs of curvature that we are given from ballers, such as sound rate, etc., all work on this Sagitta assumption that we are creating a segment from the viewing point to the observer, which bisects the circumference of the Earth. And as I was trying to say there, at no point, because of the orientation that the supposed gravity creates, do you ever create a segmented circle. You only ever create a straight line view from the top of the ball so that everything falls away. And as I showed you in that other picture, all the ballers provide us a segmented curve as opposed to the curve constantly falling away from the observer viewing at 90 degrees to the Earth. And that's the biggest issue with presentation of curvature, that what they should be presenting to us is something constantly falling away. What they try to present to us in the, which is, you know, a misrepresentation of perspective, is this segmented curve view, which, like I said, requires the observer to be leaning back to create at 90 degrees between the observer and the observation point. But we always, whenever unless we are leaning backwards, always create a 90-degree perpendicular shot, which would always be relative on a ball, equivalent to taking the photo from the North Pole.
Yes, in essence, what they do in terms of the way they describe gravity working is they place you on the top always. So you move 10 feet forwards, you're still on the top of the ball, which would mean that in order to achieve the shots that they say in terms of the way they calculate them, you would literally be angling your camera down. Well, you're not. So the way they get around that is to create this false ball where you're angled backwards on the ball and looking through a bulge. Well, that defies gravity. You're on top of the sphere, the bullshit sphere that we don't live on. You're supposed to be on top of it. Therefore, looking down and creating a bulge defies the logic of what you're actually doing when you perform the action of taking a picture. So they just depict it differently. And you'll see it on the Metabunk calculator. You're angled backwards looking through a bulge. And when are you ever angled backwards looking at anything ever? You're not, because we don't live on a sphere.
And that's
can I just add that
Ranty's pictures, you know, the ones when Anthony was first on his belly, and then Ranty got as low as that, and then got to the point where he was angling the camera upwards. That's the one created the strange refraction layer, but that's the one that proves that it isn't falling away from you. Because
he topped that. Did you not? You may not have seen it, but he actually topped that. He's still on the panel, fortunately. But he had one where he pretty much dug a hole in the sand. Because I'm not going to take credit, but I did say to him before he did this, look, see if you can get a wider viewing angle in your camera by actually physically angling it up. So the midpoint of your lens is higher than the target. Therefore, you're using the full extremities of the camera, both top and bottom, rather than 50% of the camera being encompassed by what is essentially 10 feet in elevation across 13, 15, 18 miles. So rather than that, literally angle your camera up. So what Ranty did was he took it one step further, physically dug a hole, so he's below ground level, and then forced his camera up. In other words, by virtue of the way he did it, he couldn't be anything other than angling his camera up. And just in that photography, completely defies the physics of the ball to even get a shot. I don't know if you're there, Auntie. Hopefully you're listening to this conversation.
I am.
Any chance you can present that?
The 0 foot observation.
0 feet, exactly.
It's worse than that. It is a minus feet almost, isn't it? It's certainly at the sea level, and that's the crux of it. To observe anything with the camera angled upwards it makes the picture totally impossible.
Yes.
Other
precisely.
than on a flat plane,
Exactly, but you can't angle your camera up if you're on a sphere, because you're on the top of the sphere and everything going away from you is falling away from you because you're at the top and everything's falling away from you. You're on a bloody ball. So to angle your camera up and still get anything is a ridiculous notion if you're on a sphere. I mean, as we sort of explore these concepts, and they are just concepts because we don't live on a sphere, they become more and more ludicrous to me.
And I think listening to Tommy, it's that rather than arguing the point with you guys live, it's that digestion of the concepts and the ponderance on them quietly that genuinely makes a difference. And they're the moments for me, not talking with people when I was, looking into flat Earth. It's when you're on your own, quietly examine them honestly, not arguing the point, but just looking at them just with yourself, that you start to get to the truth.
Yeah, but did you hear what was said? It was I think it was Jazzaconda. He went into somebody else's hangout, and I can't remember who said the story, but it was at the beginning of this hangout. I think it was Jose. Jazzaconda basically said he doesn't want to. How did he word it now? He doesn't want to think the Earth might be flat, basically because he's scared of being going against the official narrative. He didn't say that, but what he said meant that. And I just thought it's the same for most people. Most people don't want to think outside the box because you don't want to be the only gay in the village, right? And I say that pun.
I love that line.
It was
in the village.
Yeah, it's off Little Britain. So if you're not familiar with Little Britain, understand that it's a jape from that. But the point is, you don't want to be on your own, and everybody gets it. But ultimately, there's too much evidence against the idea that we live on a little spinning ball. We don't live on a spinning ball.
Yeah, but the point there then, Andy, is you get to the point really, don't you, of living with yourself, where you have to be the only gay in the village, or just live a lie. Just you're mugging yourself off.
Yeah,
and that's probably what he's admitting, that he's because of his alcohol consumption, he's able to mug himself off. I saw the other day he was asking for a spanner off of Ranty's chat. I thought he's already had at least 5 screwdrivers.
Jazzaconda was asking for a spanner.
Yeah, he didn't get one.
How about a hammer?
I admire his tenacity to ask for it. Shout out to Jazzaconda.
You're up and presented, Ranty.
Okay, perfect. Right. Okay, so I dug a hole in the sand. I was no more than probably 2 or 3 feet away from the incoming tide at this time. We can see the seagull. Obviously, it's resting on this little bit of rock here, and we've got this seagull that's in a dip. It's the waves are going up and down, and it's actually going down at this moment. Obviously, we've got the wave in the foreground, but look at this wave here where my cursor is. Now it's half the height of this head of this bird, so maybe an inch, but it's drowning out almost all the height of this building in the distance, right, which is Devonshire Dock Hall. So what we're actually seeing of Devonshire Dock Hall, which is essentially about 120 feet or so of it. So this 1 inch wave is almost the same height as Devonshire Dock Hall. The simple fact is we are seeing the buildings in the distance. They are compressed downwards. They're retaining their width because the compression doesn't actually happen on the width.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Unorthodox.
And yeah, it's being
What's up, people?
compressed. Yeah, I'm just doing a presentation if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. But yeah, it's like we've got the compression downwards. Now, I did some photography before, a few days before this, that proved that what we're seeing is compression as opposed to any kind of missing curvature. And when I play the video, you'll see that this is actually in a ditch, and we're still seeing those buildings in the distance. Those buildings are visible. You can see where the water's coming up. You know, it's you know, I now have to move the camera out of the way, and I will show you as the water comes in and it goes into the ditch. I've just dug out.
Randy, before you get to those, that last bit there, mate, is fantastic in terms of understanding perspective and obstruction. That 1-2 centimeter rise in that wave height at the front of the camera there was sufficient to just basically block everything out. Absolutely obscure everything. Or is it just curvature? Giant curvature at the front of the frame.
Well, you got this mountain in the background that's what? It must be 2,000 feet in height or 1,500 feet in height. And we've got these buildings that we shouldn't see. And I am actually angling the camera up. I'm lifting the camera up to get this shot. And we're still seeing the buildings. Now the actual water's enveloping, you know, it's literally on top of the camera now. So I have to pull it out of the way. And then we see it fill up the hole where I had the camera in. And you'll see where it swills around. It'll swill around inside of it. There we go. That's the money shot there, because that proves that I'm actually in a hole. You know, and this is 18.4 miles away. This isn't down the road. This is 18.4 miles away. We shouldn't see these buildings anyway. And we are seeing it. And Nathan said to me, he says, why don't you know, he mentioned about lifting the camera up to get the shots, and it triggered something, and I decided to do this, and this is what we got.
This was so much better than I ever expected when I first saw it. Yeah, I don't know if you remember my reaction, but I was like, wow, this is perfect. This demonstrates perspective exactly as Adam's just said. You know, it does everything. So as this bird lands, you know, you all know how big a bird is, and yet it's blocking out, what, a 70-foot building at 18 miles away? You know, it's just perspective.
Toy cow.
This is
real cow far away.
This cow is small. These cows are far away.
Yeah. And let's not forget, of course, that the main reason why the curve calculator is wrong is it doesn't reduce the size of the targets as they go into the distance.
Hey,
Tells you what
Gleam.
that geometric drop should be.
Hey, hold on a second,
About
Anthony.
the object getting smaller over
Hold on,
a distance.
Anthony. Hey, Gleam. How you doing?
Blessings. Hope
Tommy.
my mic's a bit better today.
Yeah, much better. Much better.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that was the zero elevation from 18.4 miles away. Check it out on my channel, Ranty Flat Earth.
If you stick the link in the side chat, Ranty, I'll share it with the
Sure.
with the public chat.
Okay. So yeah, so we were doing housekeeping, and you know, essentially we're saying that there is no photography or proof of a ball. We don't have it, but we have plenty of proof that we can see much further than the curve calcs would suggest. Curve calcs being that obviously we have a mathematical equation that we can work out at what distance the curve should be over a certain given distance. So that's what the curve calcs are. So when we say the curve calcs, and we say there's 100 foot missing, that's the geometry of the ball, and we're able to calculate that, and nobody argues that this is the geometry of the ball and what should be missing. So if we can see further than this, anything we see beyond that in the globe model will be looming or lifted up beyond the curvature of the Earth, and the light is refracting around the curve into your camera or your eye, and that's the only reason you're seeing it. It's not seeing it because it's there. It's seeing it because it's an illusion.
And that's a good way of putting it, Randy, that the curve calculator isn't incorrect. It's spot on from a geometric point of view. But but that's all it does provide you with information with regards to the geometry. It has nothing to do with application towards an observation.
Correct. Which is the reason why we jump up and down about perspective, because things do get smaller from the perspective of the observer as a function of distance. But that curve calculator doesn't tell you that. So when you apply the 300 or 400 feet of curve, you're applying it against the object as though it's touching your nose, and that's wrong. And that's what we realized. And the minute you reduce it, that curve then swallows everything up, and nothing gets seen above like 25 miles or so, 20 miles. Nothing gets seen because we don't live on a huge thing like the size of Jupiter. We live on something the size of like Pluto.
Can I add on to that and just discuss a little bit about this Wolfie's equinox and discuss how this perspective makes it work perfectly fine on a flat Earth?
Discuss about what did you say? Discuss what?
You know Wolfie's equinox challenge? Challenging everyone.
It doesn't prove anything though.
No. They're all assuming that you should see a curved path on a flat Earth, which you don't see. Whereas this exact same perspective, if you look at the sky, as it's reducing in size, like tunnel vision, it basically reduces the angle. So therefore, you come in.
Sorry to interrupt. Is that the real plain truth? Hello?
I am here to defend my honor, sir.
Good to have you.
Yeah, just to show you some details on it. I just done the maths on it, and it shows how it works, basically, on a flat Earth, how the equinox would work.
I can't make out what you're saying very well. You're not clear enough to make out what you're saying, but I'm also not familiar with Wolfie's challenge, because I don't think it proves anything.
The equinox cannot happen on a flat Earth because you should see a curved path.
Right, but you don't know what the flat Earth model is, so you're making a presumption that the flat Earth model is like some particular construct, and I don't know how you can do that.
I'm using the generic 25,000 mile circumference to prove that it can work on flat Earth. So I'm using their figures to prove them wrong.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
to be honest, I don't understand the equinox point he's making. If I'm honest, I'm struggling to hear you. Is anybody able to translate?
Hang on, wait a minute, Gleam. It seems that you're going to take Wolfie up on the challenge. Is that correct?
Already have, and he told me I must model it in 3D because the maths was too difficult for him.
Okay, so you're right. Okay, well that's good then. So if you've got something that you think you can take on, his challenge with, if you ever want to display that.
Yep, it will take 2 seconds, and hopefully it won't be too difficult. I'm probably making it sound more difficult than what it actually is.
Okay, you can do that now. Nathan, here we go.
Great, stick it on. You're on. You're up. Oh no, you've gone off again. Just try stopping sharing. Oh no, he's been booted.
What?
Or he's dropped his connection. Hey, Mark.
Hello again.
Who booted him?
Nobody. He just dropped. Rough connection.
Hello,
maybe.
Mark.
Hiya, folks.
Is that a new icon, Mark?
A different account because somebody's blocked my regular account. I don't know who it is, though.
Afternoon, mate. Anyway, you're right.
Good man. Great to be here. Who's blocked me, anyway?
I blocked you.
You have, Anthony.
Don't know how to do that.
No, I have not blocked him.
No, I wouldn't think you would, Riley. You're not that way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm on another account here.
Glitch, that's all. I often can't get into people's hangouts. I had it today. I got into a hangout, and then after I'd got in, it wouldn't let me back in. I'm like, what's going on? And I knew no one had booted me.
Hang on, Gleam just is saying that he got sniped. He got sniped and he can't come back in. Gleam, are you on Skype at all?
Just check on the back chat. Just check if they have actually been sniped, because it may just be an error as opposed to someone sniping. I haven't seen any trolls join to snipe. Oh, we've got a new sleeping warrior. Kick him, kick him.
No, kick him.
Yeah, who is it? Only you can do it.
Oh, right, we're all going to get sniped. No one's paying attention.
Oh.
I give it 25 seconds and everyone will be kicked. Hello? Anybody there? Nope, lost the entire panel. Wonderful. We'll just stay long enough.
Hello.
Just stay long enough for him to drop. Too late, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to start a new hangout. Sorry, guys. How long we got left? We've got a good quarter of an hour left, so we'll start a new one. Okay, so I've shared the link in Skype. Hopefully a few people will join for the last 10 minutes of the show. Not, you can hear the sounds of my kids screaming herself to sleep. Hey, Ranty.
Hello.
Hello.
I think Anthony would have been the one to snag that guy, you know. He hadn't been playing his game.
It was a Sleeping Warrior account that joined.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he'd been paying attention, he'd have been able to see the fake Sleeping Warrior and kick him out. But
Yeah, exactly. But he's more interested. He's more interested in his game. So we don't know which one to kick out. So the whole hangout gets sniped because Anthony can't be asked anymore.
That's it. I think we should ban Anthony from joining the hangouts for the next couple of weeks.
He should stop gaming during a hangout.
Yeah, he doesn't add anything to the debate when he's gaming. I mean, what do you say, Arwin?
You do it. I'm not doing that kind of thing to anyone.
Gleam, why don't you join the link? Hang on, wait a minute. He's asking for the Skype link.
There is no Skype link. There's a Google Hangouts link.
No, I meant he means, can he find you on Skype? Is there a way you can do that and send you a friend request or?
Wait, me?
No, Gleam.
Hey,
he's
Jose.
trying to get in touch with.
Hi, Jose.
He's trying to get in touch with Nathan.
Hi. He hasn't been this trolley for a few weeks now, huh? He just got all active today.
Yeah. I think it's because I'm a couple of hours later. The trolls obviously sleep in on a weekday.
How would he find you on Skype, Nathan? Do you mind giving that information out, or?
Yeah, I do. For definite.
That's fine. Right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize it was secret.
Right, I kept my mouth shut till you asked me the direct question.
Right. Okay.
No, Anthony does often add people on Skype. Me, I don't.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, it's a very snipey hangout because let's be honest. I mean, we're killing it. We've had a guy that's come on yesterday giving it all huff and puff about him being a baller and he can prove this, that, and the other. He's gone away with his tail between his legs, thought about it overnight, talked to another flat earther friend of his, and come back the next day, apologised, and said, "You know what, guys, you have a point." And I'm now agnostic as to the one or the other. So that's a win, in my opinion.
It is a win. That's great.
Definite win. You know, I mean, this guy came on, he was ready to defend the ball to the hilt. He was willing to get on the panel and tackle us with his evidence that he realised he didn't have any evidence. When he realised that, he thought, hang about, wait a minute, these guys have a point, and this is why we do this every day. It's going to take a lot to get through that indoctrination because they've been doing it since birth, you know, let's be honest.
Have you guys got the back chat open?
No.
Can you?
Yes, I do.
Hang on.
Be
Wait a
nice
minute.
to not have to start a new hangout. We've only got 10 minutes left.
That mean I need to snipe the next sleeping warrior that joins?
No. Well, he'll probably say hello. I would hope so.
We'll have a sound about him.
To be fair, he is in training. You know, he's playing a game to maybe polish up his sniping skills.
I see. Right, okay.
That's what it is.
I'll let him off.
I'm making excuses for him, I know.
But let's go on to the molten iron core. Come on. We were waiting on somebody coming back with the information that can prove that the globe has this evidence for a perpetual, what is it, Nathan? How do you say it?
Self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth.
There you go. You got it off pat. Yeah. So we're waiting for that evidence. Who was it who was going to bring that?
Paul Voigt originally. He hasn't joined ever since.
Yeah. What's happened to him now? I mean, it's been what, 3 months?
Oh, more than that.
Paul Voigt has been on here in forever.
Like half a year ago or something.
If you want to join the show and you're in the chat for the last 10 minutes, just refresh your page. It should bring up the new link. Shout out to Truth Agent Robert MB. Shout out to you, my friend.
And Gleam, yeah, if you want to join, pal, fire away. I mean, if you think you've got something that can take on this Wolfie guy with his challenge, then hit that link. Show us. Oh no, the back door won't open for me now. Oh, here we go. Finally, right, got it. Right, he's trained now apparently. So
cool. So if you want to join, refresh your page now and then click the link and you should be able to join for the last 10 minutes. If we immediately get sniped, it'll be the end of the show. But as we've only got 8 minutes left, I'm not too fussed.
It would be nice to end though with Gleam coming on and being able to put something out there for Wolfie, because obviously Wolfie does this kind of stuff every now and then, and he puts a challenge out that he thinks is undebunkable. And if we have a flat earther that's put some effort into this and can answer this challenge, then I'd love to see it. Gleam, nice to see you, mate.
Good to have you.
Right.
I'm in.
Perfect.
Hello.
James, hello. Josie.
Right, yeah, crack straight.
Hello.
Get straight into it, Gleam.
Get into it, Gleam.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do it. Ready? Can you see?
Hang on, we've got some feedback. Who's got the mic open?
Oh,
Jose, have you got your mic open, or is it?
no, it's me. I think I'm here. Hello? Can you hear me?
Unorthodox, hello.
How you guys doing?
Right, you're on,
Doing good.
Gleam. If you want to go ahead, if everyone can just keep their mics closed just for a few minutes.
Can you see the diagram on the screen? Yep, can we see?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so that is the path of the sun. So what their problem is from sunrise to sunset, there is a massive arc. Okay, if you see in red there, that is a very over-exaggerated field of view of your actual field going into the closing point. Okay, to show you exactly what I mean.
Right, no need to rush,
Okay, well, the bottom part is obviously 3 miles to the horizon, which in my view is your eye limit. So your eye actually drags the floor up, or appears to drag the floor up when it doesn't. And every section in the sky is how many miles distance it is away from the viewer. Because obviously you have a longer field of view of the sky than you do on the floor. So you've got 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles. And where I'm saying that I've debunked him is that every single line there should represent your 124 degrees of view. So as you're going into the horizon, into the perspective, the bottom line still represents that 124 degree field of view. But as it's going in a tunnel, it's obviously going into that central convergence point. So at the 5,000 marker, 6,000 marker, the sun, even though it's 45 degrees to your left, would actually come in at 0 degrees in your perspective. Do you get that? Or
Yeah,
is
of course we get that. Yeah, I mean, that seems absolutely consistent with the work I've been doing about the reduction of size at distance, etc., with all this kind of compression. And, you know, I mean, this is very good evidence. You know, I mean, what you're showing there is what I've been trying to say, essentially.
Yeah. So if you follow that, the line of lights on the top, even though it wiggles a bit, you can imagine that is the sun's path. What Wolfie is saying is that on a sundial, the shadow goes straight across east to west. And what I've proved to him or shown to him is how that happens perfectly the same on a flat Earth using your own perspective.
Yeah. So when I display the lamp posts going down the road, so we have that, you know, that drop as it goes away. Obviously, it's getting smaller. You're just doing this on the vertical now, so you're just applying that to the vertical.
Yeah, it's like a tunnel vision. So your vision compresses all the way into that central point. It's not just a vertical; it's both horizontal and vertical.
Pretty cool.
That's literally all I needed to present or wanted to present. That's okay.
Pretty cool. Is there anything that you win for doing this? Has he put any kind of? He normally puts some kind of financial thing on this.
I think you get a night out with Wolfie, don't you? Isn't that what the prize is?
I'm not in for the winning. I'm just in for the explaining how it would work.
I need to understand something. Could I ask a question? It's related more to arches. In this example, you have a plane that takes off, goes to 5,000 feet, and flies 1,000 miles at 5,000 feet of altitude above the curved surface of the Earth. That same plane, to return, flies up to 35,000 feet and flies a greater distance for that same 1,000 miles. Uses more fuel. There's a greater distance if it's flying over an arc at 35,000 feet as opposed to 5,000 feet. Do you see the problem?
I don't see a problem. I see that as
it means it travels less distance over the arc at 5,000 feet than at 10,000 feet, then at 15,000 feet. Each increment gets a longer distance the plane has to travel over an arc. That's the physics of it.
Absolutely.
Math
The
matches,
distance would increase.
and
This is
it,
one of
it
the
increases. So
absolutely.
How come they fly to 35,000 feet when they could save a lot of fuel and distance by flying lower?
Actually, I've just realized what you've said there. Essentially, when you're flying at 35,000 feet, you're increasing the circumference of the Earth by an additional 35,000 feet
The
all
number
the
of
way
degrees
around.
of arc you have to fly.
All the way around, yeah, the entire Earth. So you've increased it by a huge amount.
Absolutely
so it does
huge.
have to travel far. Yeah.
Can I reply? So
Yeah.
all that would have any difference to this particular diagram up on the screen is the velocity it takes to get from each node, let's say, each line.
The distance changes, so irregardless of the velocity, that would just decrease your time to travel the distance. It doesn't decrease the distance that you have to travel at the different altitudes.
But this is like an inverse squaring from the viewer perspective. So something's
Oh, this is physical feet above the ground, above a curved surface.
No,
if
but
you're at 5,000 feet and you fly 100 miles, you're going to travel around an arc and over an arc, 1 mile of arc. If you're at 35,000 feet, you're traveling around over a mile of arc. You have a greater distance to travel, far greater.
Sure, and that's just the same as someone running in front of you across your field of view. They're going to look faster than someone 3 miles in the distance running across your field of view. So an object 10,000 miles up in the sky, or 10,000 feet, should I say, will just travel quicker through these lines than an object 35,000 feet.
You're absolutely denying that it has to travel a greater distance because it's farther. It's like putting your finger on a spinning record. When you're close to the pin in the center, it's fairly easy to keep up with the spinning record player.
That's
Move it out to the edge, you're spinning a greater distance. It's turning the same speed. You're denying that you're actually increasing the distance the plane must travel the higher it is over
So
the
does
same
that-
surface of the curved ball below.
So does that mean that if the plane is traveling at, say, 500 miles an hour at 35,000 feet, it's actually only going to be covering about, let's just say, an arbitrary 475 miles as opposed to 500 in that same hour, because it's having to travel a third the distance. So even though the plane actually says it's traveling at 500 miles an hour, because it's so much higher and the arc is so much greater and the circumference of the now Earth that we're traveling around, it's now going to only have traveled, say, 475 miles, whereas it should have traveled 500 in that same hour.
Yes, in a nutshell.
Yes.
Makes sense to me.
I think we're talking cross purposes, where these lines are not altitude lines, they're depth lines. So that's your depth of field. You can see 6,000 miles in the sky, is what I'm suggesting.
No,
Not
we do understand that you're saying that you're looking out 5,000, not up 5,000. We do get what your point is. We're just adding an additional point to it. I'm sorry, we've kind of hijacked your point by doing so, but yeah, we did understand exactly what you explained.
Yeah, definitely. We did understand it 100%. We just sort of like evolved it a little bit into saying, well, okay, so when they say to you, you know, we are going to be landing in Los Angeles in 6 hours and it's 3,000 miles and we're traveling at 500 miles an hour. Well, if you're traveling at 35,000 feet, then essentially you're covering more distance. So it should take you longer at 500 miles an hour to get to that destination.
Exactly. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!